your name? Don't you play this game? You from another land, got you like it's contraband. Tell me what's your name? Don't you play this game? You from another land, got you like it's contraband.
What's up, guys? Keyshawn Uchiha here. Now, this is going to be a new Alternate Universe video. This is going to be a 2 in mix in. So, this is the idea from a subscriber that I was given to, which he's one of my fans and, you know, one of a co-worker or partner sometimes in other videos. But, this is pretty much what if Deku gave up and had light devil fruit. So, where am I going with this and how is this going to happen? Pretty much, this is going to be what if Deku gave up of being a superhero, and also, well, what if he just gave up on his dream entirely? We're going to say that. And he had light devil fruit. So how is this going to work and what's actually happening? Well, let's get started. Pretty much, this is where Deku starts off the same. So everything happens the same with his childbirth, but this is where he'd been introduced to him not having a quirk now. Now, since he been given not a quirk, he will be pretty much going to the same thing. But this is not where he will pretty much give up and start crying. No, he pretty much clenches his fist and says, no, I'm going to become a hero. Which, this is where a different term event would happen. This is where Deku will pretty much be working out, pretty much eating healthy, studying, building stuff, and pretty much learning each fighting style, karate and stuff. He's doing a lot. Pretty much, he's doing a lot in a young age. This is where, of course, he will get bullied by Bakugo, but he doesn't really care because his determination to become a hero is quite big. Now, this is where we're going to skip on to the years, and we're going to start with pretty much the whole school thing. As usual, the same happens. Bakugo burns up Deku's book, but instead of Deku, being afraid or pissed off, he just be nonchalant about it, and he pretty much just says, oh well, I just get a new book. See you, Kanshan. And pretty much he walks away, which he's not showing no anger, no sadness, no nothing. He's just smiling and walking away, which I'm going to give him the personality, the devil fruit user guy who has light, or pretty much, Pika, well, to say the name, but pretty much, yeah, he's going to have that personality. Because over the years, he have grew of not, having a simple motion of hatred or, he just matched along. Well, he's only been a little bit, he only has a little bit of the match along. Not 100% of it yet. But pretty much, this is where Deku takes the shortcut. Well, doesn't take the shortcut to the bridge. And this is going to be a little bit of a butterfly effect. So this will change Deku whole event, you could say. This is where Deku pretty much don't take the shortcut at the bridge, under the bridge, and he pretty much goes to the store. Well, yeah, pretty much goes to the store. And this is going to be a weird store. He goes to the weird place of Japan where, they sell the weird stuff like ancient artifacts and unique variety stuff. This is where he meets a guy who pretty much selling fruits. And he only has let's say a couple of fruits left, and half of them are only a couple of fruits, and each fruit is all different. Not all of them are devil fruits, only some of the fruits are, different, unique, and have different tastes. This is where the merchant is saying, selling a devil fruit. Light. This fruit can give you power and stuff, which Deku's looking at him with confusion and saying, a fruit that can give me power? A devil power, or you could say power, whichever you say. Which this is where the old man is saying, yes, and which this is where the old man explains that. Which I'm gonna merge the One Piece universe together with the My Hero Academia because we have to do it because it wouldn't make sense. So we're gonna do that. Pretty much this is where the old man explains that it used to be it used to be pirates with devil fruits and stuff, and he basically says a mission of one person who became the Pirate King, and we all know it's gonna be we all know it's Luffy. So pretty much he explains about a person who has pretty much that devil fruit and stuff, and basically he explains everything and what you can do with devil fruit, and he pretty much explains that you can do anything, but if you hit the water, you won't be able to swim. Which pretty much Deku is saying, well, that's pretty much a shitty weekend. pretty much shitty weekends. Well, weakness, but Deku pretty much says he doesn't mind that, and he pretty much asks how much is it for it. Which the old man, he's pretty old and stuff. He just says, 5,000, which pretty much Deku says 5,000, but this is where the old man says, but I give you a discount, kid, for only $100, which Deku luckily has $100 of his savings. He gives it to the guy, which Deku which the old man says to make sure to eat it. You don't have to eat all of it, but just eat a part of it because they taste pretty bad, which the old man gives him a head up. Which Deku says thanks, and he pretty much starts going. As he's going, this is where Deku eats the fruit, and he tastes it, and he says, "Ew, this is terrible." Which Deku pretty much just eats it, like eats half of it and swallows it, and pretty much just throws the rest away. Now, as he's eating the light fruit, he pretty much starts walking. He sees on TV that a person is getting attacked, and it's not no other than Bakugo, and Bakugo screaming out for help, and pretty much screaming out for help. And as that's happening, this is where All Might will come in, but this is where the butterfly effect comes in. This is where the Sludge Villain has another ability, and his ability is ice. Well, you could say ice, So he has a slime and ice. This is where pretty much Bakugo gets his body frozen. Well, begins his body slowly, like, going cold in a not negative temperature. And All Might is pretty much there, and he doesn't know what to do. Which Deku is saying, what the hell are you doing, All Might? Ain't you the number one hero? Which this is where All Might does it, the short smash. And as he does it, the short smash, this is where the accident bad happens. The Sludge Villain pretty much opens up to pretty much have Bakugo takes the hit, and pretty much Bakugo gets hit by it. And this pretty much breaks all his bones and sends Bakugo flying into the wall. Which the Sludge Villain pretty much dodged it in time. But pretty much All Might just hit a teenager, and pretty much put him in a critical condition. This is where the Sludge Villain is about to run until the hero stops the Sludge Villain. And pretty much everybody starts thanking All Might, saying, you did it again, you saved the day, and all that. Which, this is where Deku sees what the hell is wrong and saying, what the hell, he didn't save the day, he just got my best friend hit. Which, pretty much, this is where Deku's getting mad. And pretty much, he sees what's going on now. And he realized that this is not hero-ness. This is not a close of hero-ness. He been reckless. He damaged. Deku pretty much is seeing the details, and he pretty much says, "Being a hero, this is where Deku hits his conclusion and just gives up on being a hero, saying, "No, I'm not gonna be a hero." And he pretty much walks away, pretty much frustrated and sharing a little bit tears, because that's his idol, and he pretty much just walks away. Now, pretty much the next day, Deku goes to the hospital to check up on Bakugo, and Bakugo is pretty much he's in a critical condition where he's pretty much in a coma, which no one can wake him up from because of All Might. This is where Deku is pretty much crying. Well, not crying, but frustrated. Which this is where a person comes in, and this is where the person checked in and pretty much throws down the rose. Well, Bukai, and pretty much starts looking at Bakugo, which Deku looks at the old man and asks, who is he? Which he's saying, oh, I was just a person who just wanted to give this down. Which Deku can immediately know the features because he can do face recognition and tell who's who and stuff. Where does it say that? And he immediately noticed that it's All Might in this weak state. And he says, so, you came to realize your mistakes you did wrong, All Might. Which All Might shocked that this kid knows that he's All Might and asks, who is he? Which Deku doesn't say anything. It just says that it's all his fault. And he actually wanted to become a hero just like him. But he killed his dream. And he pretty much goes out. Now, over this is where Deku begins to start going and walking home. And he's thinking about what he should do next. This is where pretty much a truck is coming in, and pretty much a girl is walking and not paying attention, and Deku pretty much pushes the girl out the way, but is about to get hit by the truck. Before he gets hit by the truck, this is where his devil fruit activates his light, and he pretty much fades through the truck. And pretty much the truck stops and looks and see if Deku's alright, which Deku is shocked that it actually did work, and the devil fruit. And this is where he remembers that his devil fruit he ate was like light, and he begins to start pretty much running home to his house. This is where he pretty much runs upstairs and he starts thinking of what ability, like what power does he have, and he begins to start testing out what he can do. This is where he starts testing out like doing hand system, doing many things, and trying to figure out how to use the ability more or the power more. This is where he pretty much put his hand into a gun, like a finger gun, like Goku thing, and he shoots and saying "bing," which he shoots a light beam, which he pretty much is saying, "Holy shit!" And he pretty much realized that he can shoot light beams out his finger. This is where he started testing more of what he can do, which this is where he starts creating con structure, blades, knuckles, and a lot of stuff. This is where Deku also remembered the old man saying that you can also fly with it, which this is where Deku jumps, says that it's better than nothing, and he jumps off his rooftop and begins to start flying, concentrating. This is where he starts flying in light speed, which is kind of hard for Deku to control, but this is where Deku starts concentrating more, and he begins to start heading to a direction where he wants to go. And he pretty much makes it at his favorite uh favorite food place, you could say. Now this is where he lands, pretty much almost falling, but he lands it. They're pretty much saying that this is quite amazing. And he starts to figure out, well, starts to go in and starts to eat. This is where he's trying to figure out what more he can do. And as he's thinking of that, he pretty much starts to see a person getting, well, pretty much a group of thugs messing with this girl. And he pretty much heads out and pretty much wants to test out his power. And pretty much talks to the group of guys saying, "What's going on here?" Which one of the thugs says, "Get the hell out of here, kid, before we, kick your ass." Which Deku's saying, "Whoa, whoa, calm down. I was just trying to have a conversation with y'all." This is where one of the thugs throws a punch at Deku, which Deku pretty much phased right through it. And pretty much they see Deku like as they punch through him, he's like, they see like a light when they punch through, and they're like saying, "What the hell are you?" Which Deku pretty much saying, "I don't know, dude. I'm not sure myself, but let me just test out this ability." And pretty much Deku begins to start whooping their ass with hand-to-hand combat. This is where one of the thugs throw a punch at Deku. This is where Deku catches the punch and pretty much throw him down to the ground, while the other one comes in with a knife trying to stab Deku. This is where Deku counters the knife and pretty much stabs the thug in the leg and just headbutts him in the head, making him fall on the ground. And the last thug pretty much runs away saying that he will pay for this. Which, this is where Deku asks the girl if she's alright. Which, the girl pretty much looks at him and pretty much says, yeah, she's okay. And Deku begins to start walking the girl and asking, where does she live? This is where the girl explains to Deku that she lives in an orphanage, where orphan kids at. And Deku pretty much says that he walk her there. Now, as Deku is walking her there, she begins to ask him like what kind of quirk he has, because she never seen a quirk like that before. Which Deku says he doesn't have a quirk. It's more like a something else. Which she says, oh. Which she is trying to figure out what Deku power is. This is where Deku pretty much walks her to the the adoption place. Well, I mean the orphanage. My bad. Orphanage place. And she pretty much thanks Deku and says that he should come by next time and she'll make him a meal, which Deku says that he would very much like that. And he pretty much starts walking off. Now, as that's happening, this is where Deku comes home and he pretty much sees his mom pretty much stressing out and stuff. And Deku asks what's happening, which she says, oh, it's nothing. Which Deku looks on the table and he immediately noticed what's happening, and she pretty much is in a debt, and she has to pay the bills and stuff, and a lot of stuff, which this is where Deku sees and says, okay, he pretty much goes upstairs. Now, later that night, this is where Deku pretty much looking online, and he pretty much sees the yakuza or the yakuza pretty much looking at hiring people on a dark web, and Deku pretty much signs up because he's not becoming a hero, but he's just gonna do things to help his mom out. Now, this is where Deku pretty much joins in on the yakuza. Well, not the yakuza, the yakuza, and pretty much this is where the yakuza is doing initiation and stuff to see who's like ready and stuff. And Deku pretty much wears a suit and stuff, and pretty much shows up there. Now, as they're doing initiation stuff, this is where they send Deku a task for a job, which they're going to be attacking a place, attacking a person that they to pretty much take over. Which Deku pretty much is nonchalant and stuff. Which one of the other Yakuza member, Jake, pretty much saying, "Take this seriously. We're about to legit go to a fight with an outnumber. We're pretty much outnumbered. They send us to our death." Which Deku saying, "Calm down. We're going to win this. Trust me." Which Deku does a wink at him, which pretty much this is where he's saying, "All right, if you say so." Now, Deku pretty much I should probably tell you, Deku hair will be a little bit more longer, and his hair will be yellow, not like bright. His hair will be like, you could say, bright light yellow. So it'll be like that. It'll be like the color of a star, like like that yellow. But pretty much this is where, and his eyebrows and his eyes will pretty much just be like, you could say, unique yellow. So like yellow. But pretty much Deku pretty much goes, and he's with the whole group they are, and the group of the Yakuza, or yeah, the Yakuza he's in a group where I guess we could just say like he's in the Shogun group. So we're just gonna make one up. I know this probably is a group named Shogun, but pretty much the Shogun group or the Shogun organization, which those are like one of the top 3 dogs. But pretty much this is where Deku's joining in ready to fight. Which this is where they run in and pretty much trying to take over the facility, having a whole fight. Well, at one of the places, turfs, and pretty much fighting with the other things, and it's just an out brawl. They're pretty much looking like they're losing, which Deku is not really fighting anyone, but just looking at this fight, saying, "This fight is such boring." Everybody's just, which this is where one of the other people of the other organization begins to start coming to attack Deku, which pretty much Jake comes in and headbutts him, well, knocks him out, and tells Deku to focus or he's gonna die, which Deku looks at him with a non-serious look and says, "If you say so." Which this is where some of the one of the other sides of the Yakuza people pretty much runs in and starts attacking the Shogun organization group. And pretty much he has a quirk, and his quirk is pretty much metal. So pretty much he hardened himself into metal and begins to start attacking the groups and pretty much lowering down the numbers. This is where Jake, Deku, and some other members are pretty much, well, other Rickies are pretty much caught, and they're pretty much cornered. This is where Deku says, "All right, I guess I get started." With pretty much this is where Deku lifts up his hand and pretty much shines a whole bright light, pretty much blinding everybody. Which this is where Deku begins to start jumping and shooting a bunch of laser beams out of his hand, like left to right, kind of like Deadpool in that scene when he jumps up and shoots laser bullets everywhere. He does that, starts shooting laser bullets at all of them, pretty much just not killing them. Like he can make them kill them, but he's just doing it to knock them out. He pretty much shoots all of them and knock them all out and stuff, and he pretty much hits the ground. Which this is where, as the person who has the quirk metal, he pretty much opens back up his eyes and saying, "What the? Oh my man, who the hell?" Which Deku pretty much starts walking closely to him, walking up to him, saying, "Well, shall we get this started? Shall we get this party started?" Which pretty much is where the Metal Man begins to start attacking Deku, which Deku begins to start blocking his attacks or just dodging them, reading his movements. This is where the the person with the middle quirk throws a kick at Deku, which Deku pretty much dodges and pretty much kicks him in the head, which pretty much making him falling back, stagger a little bit, which he's pretty much asking how the hell is he this strong, which Deku's saying, years of working out and stuff, you know a thing or two, which this is where the guy tells him to shut up and begins to start hardening his fist a little bit more to like really in Deku, you could say. This is where Deku pretty much turns in, makes his, construct light knuckles and begins to start boxing him and punching him left and right and stuff. This is where Deku also dodged another attack and pretty much just knees him in the face and then not headbutts him, but pretty much punch him in the face with with the light knuckles. And this is where the guy pretty much is almost at his end and trying to do something until Deku pretty much teleports. Well, yeah, you could say light speed or teleports right in front of him and just pretty much put a little light on his finger and flicks him, pretty much creating a big explosion and sending him flying into the wall. Now, this is where pretty much Jake and the rest of the members of the Shogun rookies pretty much are looking at Deku at all, which Deku pretty much begins to do a saw relief and saying, can we go now? I'm pretty much bored. Now, after that, this is where the Shogun sees interest in Deku since his quirk is quite oppressive and they rarely don't have a lot of Yakuza members in their group that has quirks. So pretty much they offer Deku immediately a high precision and pretty much asks which people he want at his side, which pretty much Deku calls in Jake, one of his subordinates, also some other people too who was there, and so far so forth. This is where they pretty much tells him that he can wear any suit he wants, which this is where Deku pretty much picks his own suit, and he's gonna wear pretty much the suit that the Admiral has, but not like, well, yeah, Deku's gonna pick a suit that's like green with stripes, you could say, and pretty much yeah, with like green stripes and also a little bit of yellow. But pretty much this is where Deku is excited. Well, not excited. He's pretty much just like sitting in his chair saying, "All right, show me the reports." Which pretty much this is where Jake sends him the reports, and Deku pretty much looks at the reports, and this is between the 2 months. I should tell y'all, this is the first month, but pretty much Deku's looking at the reports, and he's saying, all right. So we have to raise the money. This is gonna be difficult. Which this is where Jake says, "Are you sure?" Which Deku says, "Of course not. This is not gonna be difficult. We're not gonna rob banks or anything, but we're gonna go take over other turfs to raise our money." Which this is where Jake says, "All right," and he pretty much says, "I go get the men ready." Which Deku says, "Nah, let them rest this out for a bit. Tell them to train their bodies and stuff. They're not ready. I'm gonna go handle this." Which this is where Deku pretty much starts going off. Now, this is where Deku goes off to each places and takes the turf over, saying this belongs to him. And no one can justify because they get their ass beat or worse. This is where Deku pretty much comes in his office saying, "All right," and pretty much this is where the Shogun hires up, pretty much calls Deku in. Now, this is where Deku pretty much comes in and says yes, which the hires up of the Shogun begins to start talking to Deku and saying that he's doing great work, but he needs to also remember that they're not trying to start an all-out war, which Deku understands what's going on and saying, "All right, so y'all want me to not try to, take over every district and stuff," which they're saying, "No, not that, but, just wait," which Deku says, "All right," and pretty much he says he's just going to go and relax then. And this is where Deku goes in his office and pretty much he looks at a scholarship that he got in the mailbox because he still lives with his mom, keep in mind, and he's young, but he's quite powerful, so they let him in. But pretty much this is where he looks at the scholarship of a college, which Deku looks at it and he pretty much thinks about whether or not he should go and stuff, which this is where Jake comes in and Deku pretty much asks Jake what's his thoughts about like college and stuff. And Jake pretty much goes all this with him, saying that where he lived at, he never had a chance to go to college, but if he did, he would definitely go. Which this is where Deku smiles and says, "All right, thanks for the conversation." Which Jake says, "Anytime, sir." Now this is where Deku pretty much sends the mail back in his mailbox and says, "All right, I guess college won't be so bad." And he pretty much heads home, which Inko telling Deku that all their bills and stuff and everything has been settled. Which she asks Deku, did he have something to do about it? Which Deku saying no, he had nothing to do about it. Which she asks him where he got the fancy suit from. Which Deku explains to her that he had found this job where he has to, act like a business person. Which she says, oh, okay. And she's a little suspicious, but she, leaves it at that. This is where Deku pretty much heads in his room and pretty much starts saying, all right. And he pretty much lays in his bed and just, drifts off. But this is part one of what if Deku gave up of being a hero. Well, gave up on his dream and had like devil fruit. If you like, leave a like, do all that. But I'm Keyshawn Chia. Thanks for watching and peace out.
It looks like you lost another one.